Anything to fix? Is it correct or incorrect? Hmm? Okay, well, we'll go ahead, we'll do the same thing here. Okay, we'll say EAX this time is parameter Y, right? I mean, that looks exactly the same as the other line. And what are we doing here? Does it look exactly the same as the other line? Let me
Yes.
That's correct. Because
turn on the...
Yeah, EBX is still the address of,
Exactly. I haven't made any changes to EBX, so that means EBX is still pointing to the base of a struct vector construct that is in the return value area. So the same addressing mode would work fine. So this time, remember Y is initialized. If I wanted to kind of save a whole bunch of typing, that's all I have to say. Okay?
Yeah.
Is that making sense so far? Okay. So that means, at this point, I'm relatively sure that this code is somewhat fixed. And I can go ahead and type make. And then type /main. And remember what I said, it will accept the numbers from the command line itself. So you just say /main, 4, 10, or whatever. And it will give you back the vector, x equals 4 and y equals 10. So I have just fixed the problem. And the program works as expected now. So yep, go ahead.
No, I was thinking of something myself, but it was a joke. So
That's okay. We can take jokes.
I was going to ask you if you could put the comments alongside. It's a joke.
Put the comments alongside.
The instruction statements, so we know exactly what we have to do.
Oh, you mean in the question? In the question. Okay. Yeah, because I just did it in the sample answer, so you were referring to the question itself. I will add, the intent of the instructions. I will basically add something and say the following 3 lines are intended to do blah. Does it actually do it? Okay, now that's. So I think that's a good way to it's a good compromise. I explain what a sequence of instructions are supposed to do, but without actually explaining what each instruction is doing. Yep, go ahead.
In the assembly file, after you push the frame pointer
Yep.
and move the stack pointer,
Yep.
you pushed EDX. I'm sorry, that was when I had stepped out of the class. What is using
I'm using EBX here as
where you push the frame pointer,
right.
and to move the third one, down one, you pushed EBX.
Yeah.
What was using EBX before this subroutine was called?
Whatever the caller wants to use EBX for.
Nothing is used.
The whole point is you want to preserve the value of EBX because the caller may be using EBX and assume that you are saving the value of EBX. So that's why you have to save and restore the value of EBX. EAX is perfectly safe to use because the caller never assumes EAX to be preserved.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
because it's always going to be return, it's always the return value.
If the function has a return value that is a scalar, then it will be returned through EAX.
Yes.
So as a convention, the caller never expects EAX to be preserved.
Right.
Yep.
Does ECX have to be popped?
I do not think ECX is the case, but to be safe, you can save all the registers, before you change them.
So ECX
If you
I
want to
would
use-
just be safe and just save everything that you use. I mean, it's once we know how to save EBX, saving the other ones would be pretty easy. Yep. Yep.
When a function has a void return, can we still make the same assumption that EAX is still
Yes.
safe to clobber?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are we okay with this program so far? Can we move on? Okay, so as far as your homework assignment, not homework, but as far as answering the question is concerned, the one last step to do is to say make /. I think this is nv answer.tgz, and it will create the tar file automatically, and then you can use WinSCP to copy that from the virtual machine environment back to the host environment and then just upload it. It will still be a 2-step process, but at least you don't have to deal with the tar command itself.
Where's it going to tar it at?
It will tar everything at the home folder,
Just like that usual.
just like the usual homework arrangement. Yes, go ahead.
So, okay, so we can use that method anytime we want to use a structure or pass a structure. We can use the method that you did before.
Which method to do what?
Casting, I mean, by putting it in the EVX and then using EVX to vector X.
That has nothing to do with structure or otherwise. It is simply a trick, or not a trick, it's simply a technique to save additional registers that you don't want to mess with from the caller's perspective. What?
I'm not saying pushing EVX, I'm saying put return value address in the EVX and then using vector X EVX.
But all that does is directly manipulating the area that is reserved by the return value. Yes, saved for the return value. Yep.
Can we just, when we tar all of these folders, can we just, we tar them individually, can we tar them all together?
You want a bigger tar ball, huh?
You gotta upload them separately though.
That's what I'm trying to avoid. We tar 'em all together.
That's a good question. You know, the problem with that is if you mess up one, then you mess up all of them. You know, when you tar all of them, I would think about it.
Straightforward command.
It would actually be easier for me too, because I have to decompress everything for grading purposes. So if everything is contained in one single tarball, like the 7 deadly sins .tgz, then I can just have all the deadly sins untarred from that tarball.
So like we can tar them into to the home directory and then use another command line to pull and bring them all together.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of how it will impact the grading part, because we can probably do it, but then each question I have to think about the question type for each question. I can just have a little stub that doesn't really mean anything and still assign a grade to it. I'll think about something, but that's not a bad assumption. So you don't have to download individual programs and untar each individual one. You just download one single file, untar it once, and then you have all the individual programs done.
Oh, well, that'd be great, but my question was going the other direction to upload.
For upload purposes?
Yeah,
For upload is harder because the tar, each tar command is only assuming that it is in the problem itself. It is not aware of the other problems that you're solving.
On your end, you'd have to double tar it.
Let me think about it. Okay, that's not really important as far as the concepts are concerned.
Okay.
Yep. So moving ahead. So that problem is solved. Okay, let's go to problem number 2. Download and analyze the code of this folder. You can change the program to use the C version of the function fib. This is Fibonacci. To see what it is supposed to do. To run the program, in this case, you only have to supply one single integer because the Fibonacci function only takes one single parameter. The assembly version of this function is implemented incorrectly. Fix as many mistakes as you can find. Blah, 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 blah. Same stuff here. And this time it is pride. Okay? So we'll go ahead and do the same thing. Copy link location. Go to the command line. And remember, you don't want to untar everything from env. So you got to remember to return back to the parent folder of the other question. And then you say wget, and then give it the URL.
What's the command you use to hit paste?
Sorry?
Command for paste?
In PuTTY, it is the right click. Yep. So we have the tar file here. We say tar xzvf bad pride. And now we have the second